Hello dear students, today we are moving down to our next topic under the chapter Recombinant DNA Technology, and the name of the topic is the basic steps of gene cloning. If you have seen my earlier video on gene cloning, you must be knowing that gene cloning is a technique which is used to produce multiple genetically identical copies of a gene of interest. And gene of interest is nothing but a gene which governs the useful function or character. Now the question arises that how this gene cloning is accomplished. The answer to this question lies in this particular figure, which is displaying the basic steps to clone a gene. First step is isolation of the total DNA from the cell in which the gene to be cloned is present. What you do, you take out the entire DNA of this cell. This DNA is having a particular region where the gene of interest is present. What you do next, you cut that DNA to isolate that particular part which is containing the gene of interest. So this work of cutting that DNA specifically at those locations where the gene of interest is present so as to take it out is basically accomplished using specific enzymes, because the enzymes know that how to do their function specifically, selectively. Next step in this particular process is insertion of this gene of interest into vector molecule. Now it is essential to understand this vector. So vector is basically called as a carrier DNA molecule. The very first feature of vector is that it is a DNA molecule which is capable of autonomous replication inside a living system. The second feature of vector is that it works as a carrier, it works as a vehicle of gene of interest, and it delivers the gene of interest inside a living system. So what vector does, it carries the gene of interest, it delivers the gene of interest inside a living system, and in that particular living system it multiplies its number, it independently replicates, and it gives rise to multiple copies of itself. So both of these two properties are essential for a DNA molecule to become a successful vector and to be used in gene cloning experiment. There are some examples of vectors. The first one is plasmid. Plasmid is capable of autonomously replicating inside bacterial cells. There is phage DNA, you know very well, bacteriophage, which infects the bacterial cells and injects its DNA, and the DNA subsequently multiplies inside bacterial cells. In the same way, you know viruses, so they have their DNA. What they do, they infect the cells, animal cells, plant cells, and they inject their DNA. The DNA multiplies inside the cells. So these all kinds of DNA molecules, whether plasmid, whether phage, or whether viral DNA, they are having the capability to autonomously replicate themselves inside these living systems. So accordingly, they all can be used as a vector in gene cloning experiment. For practical purposes, we generally use plasmids in these types of gene cloning experiments. So in this figure, we have shown bacterial plasmid and we have used this as a vector. So the next step is what? It is the insertion of this gene of interest into the vector. But this, as you can see, this vector is circular and it is double stranded, it is covalently closed. That's why to join this DNA into the vector, we have to cut that vector with the help of certain enzyme so that this vector is now open. Now what we do, we mix both the components, that is your gene of interest and opened vector, and we provide such a situation, we provide certain chemicals, we provide certain enzymes so as to allow that DNA to become inserted, to become joined with the vector. If the joining happens between those two components, what results is called as a recombinant DNA. This recombinant DNA is containing two components. One is the plasmid, the vector, and the second one is the gene of interest. The next step in gene cloning experiment is the introduction of this recombinant DNA into an appropriate living system. In this particular figure, we have used plasmid as a vector. That's why we have introduced this rDNA into a bacterium, because plasmids are basically capable of functioning in bacterial cells. That's why here we have transferred this rDNA into a bacterial cell, and this bacterial cell is called as a host because it receives the rDNA. And this process of introduction of rDNA into bacterial host is basically known as transformation. Remember that the choice of host will ultimately depends upon the choice of the vector. So you have to select the host keeping in mind that your vector should be able to autonomously replicate inside the host in which you are going to transfer it. So we have used plasmid, that's why we have used bacterium as a host here. The next step in the gene cloning experiment is the selection of host cells which have received the recombinant DNA. So to understand this particular step, we have to look at this figure. What we do while introducing the rDNA inside the host, what we have to do, we have a suspension of bacterial cell, and in that particular suspension we mix the rDNA molecules, and that mixture, which is containing two components, that is the host cells and the recombinant DNA, this mixture is incubated in a proper environmental condition so as to allow these rDNA to take entry inside the bacterial cells. But in practicality, what happens, it has now been known that whenever this experiment is performed, what happens that only 20 to 25% cells are able to take up the recombinant DNA. That might be because of some immune mechanisms inside the bacterial cells. Bacterial cells are having cell wall, cell membrane, various coverings, and bacterial cells generally do not allow any external DNA to enter inside their cells. So, because of all these factors, we are gaining a mixture of two kinds of cells. The cells which do not have the vector in them. These cells are known as non-transformed cells, and the other types of cells which have allowed the rDNA to enter inside these cells, and these kinds of cells are known as transformed cells. So what we get a mixture of these two kinds of cells. The non-transformed cells do not have the vector, do not have the rDNA. The transformed cells have rDNA inside those cells. So what we have to do, we have to select the transformed cells out of the entire mixture. We have to eliminate non-transformed cells and we have to choose the transformed cells. So it is essential to select the transformed cells as they are harboring the recombinant DNA, and that recombinant DNA is harboring the gene of interest. So now, after selection of transformed cells, what we do, we culture those cells in laboratory conditions. When we culture those cells, what happens? The bacterium divides by binary fission. 1 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 16, and so on. By dividing in such a manner, what happens? A huge population of bacterial cells is created. And because the bacterial cells are having the rDNA inside them, and rDNA is capable of autonomous replication, what happens in each of the bacterial cells, there will be the formation of multiple copies of the rDNA. And because your gene of interest is also the part of the rDNA, the gene of interest replicates along with the rDNA. So it will also get accumulated inside the bacterial cells. So what you have a big population of host bacterial cells in which there will be multiple copies of the rDNA, and in those rDNA molecules there will be multiple copies of the gene of interest. So as the bacterial cells grow, keep on growing, they will be visible in the form of colonies. Basically what happens when a single cell grows, it gives rise to a single colony. So if you are growing the bacterial cells on a Petri plate and the Petri plate is having a solid growth medium, what will happen? All the bacterial cells, they will give rise to distinct colonies on the growth medium. In each and every colony there will be thousands of bacterial cells, and within those thousands of bacterial cells there will be millions and copies of the recombinant DNA, and in those millions copies of recombinant DNA there will be millions copies of the gene of interest. Because a single colony is derived from a single bacterial cell and bacterium divides by binary fission, which is basically a method of asexual reproduction, that's why all the bacterial cells in a single colony, they are genetically 100% identical to each other. That's why the colony can also be known as a clone. So what you obtain several clones on this Petri plate. So basically this Petri plate, this small Petri plate is containing several colonies. Each colony is a clone. Within each colony there are several cells. Within those several cells there are several rDNA, and in those rDNA molecules there are several copies of the gene of interest. So this entire process is what is known as the gene cloning. So at last I would suggest to watch this video carefully and post your queries. Thanks for watching. That's all for today.